Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming to my panel. Bronies are people too. We're going to discuss the misconceptions. No. Oh, sorry. Wrong one. Okay. Oh yeah. This. We're in. Furries are friends, not food. No. Okay. Symbolism of tentacle color and other subtleties of hentai. No. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. That was kind of long. Sorry. All right. Oh, yay, everyone. My name is Chris McCormick. I'm better known as Fade, creator of AnimeMusicVideos.org. Yay! All right. I'm here. Actually, my son David's here, and my brother-in-law John here. He's the loud Italian guy. I've told him about the site a bunch, and he was like, "You actually do this kind of stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah." And this is actually his first ever anime convention. So, yay! All right. So I'm here to talk about the origins of the site and try not to die on stage because I'm not really big public speaker, but I try to pretend one while on stage. So I'm going. I've done this show like about 3 times ish at Anime Detour in Minneapolis, but each time I go there, I just kind of talk. So this one's actually going to be kind of different. Unlike them, I live nearby ish. And so I can actually bring stuff in my car, and so I'm going to do like a little show and tell that nobody else gets to see. So I'm going to tell you a cool story, show you some cool stuff, and then have some questions at the end. You guys ready? Yeah. Yay! That was chapter 1. Chapter 2. Start the story in the middle. Okay, so we start the story in the middle. It is September 2005. It's Anime Weekend Atlanta. And much like kind of we're doing right now, I'm hanging out with some of the really great AMV creators in the world. Like Vlad's there, and Kusayaro's there, and Vic Bond, and P. Wolf, and Lee Thompson, and Night Owl, and Mary Cantoni's there. Yes, Lee Thompson is cool. I've hung out with him a bunch. Koopas Keva, KLEM, GQ, Ilea's there. Is Ilea here? No, she's not. Okay, good. She can't refute me. And so somebody comes up to me and hands me a piece of paper. It's like this. And on the piece of paper is a drawing of like a dude holding a sword and like a bunch of scribbles around it. And he's like, "Hey, I made this drawing of you holding a sword." I was like, "Cool, thanks, man." And it's like, not only that, I went around to all the AMV creators I could find and had them sign it. I was like, "Really?" And that was all the scribbles that was all around. And it looked something like this. And so this is the reason I'm starting in the middle. So here, I've got a picture of it, and what I did is I kind of zoomed into every signature, and we're going to pass this around so you guys can look at it. So somebody grab this one. Yep. Evil scientist. And so you can look at it. I got a little description of it, and you can basically play Where's Waldo with all the signatures, which is actually the first one is Waldo, Omar Jenkins. Yep. He is, so it has their org ID, their name, if their name is public, their org number. So Waldo is number 7 on the org. I'm number 1. He's number 7. He was actually the first person to actually sign up with the site. So why is he number 7? Because I was testing the sign-in page 6 other times and forgot to reset the number when he showed up. So that's why he's number 7. So you'll be able to flip through this, look as many. There's a lot of 2 and 3 digit creators in here. So somebody else grab this and pass it that way. So that's why I'm starting in the middle, because you guys can take a look at it. So how did I get here where I'm getting handed a portrait of myself with 56 AMV signatures around it? So chapter 3, the origins. All right. As you can probably tell from my outrageous accent, I'm from a small town in South Carolina. Actually, not too far from here. If you drive from here to Charlotte, as soon as you cross the South Carolina border, there's an exit 1 says Walhalla that way. That's my hometown. Are you from Walhalla, or do you know where it is? Westminster. Oh, dude, you look exactly like everyone else that lives there. Yeah, I say Walhalla is like the last town before there's people on their porches with banjos telling you how nice your teeth are. Yeah, it's that town. So right there where North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia meet. I was a little kid. I kind of got into anime with Battle of the Planets and Robotech and Transformers. Technically not anime, but there it is. Went off to college, went to Clemson, found manga there. Flipped through. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Graduated, put my resume up and down the East Coast, and landed in Washington D.C. So I'm like, went from a town that had 5 stoplights to Washington D.C., the opposite of 5 stoplights. So I go there, and one of the guys I work with is like, hey man, come on, let's go hang out. I was like, cool. And so we went to his place, and his roommate had a wall of like anime. He's like, oh yeah, I remember this stuff from when I was a kid. And he's like, and he pulls out Ranma 1/2 and he sticks it in the VCR, and we play it. And I was like, this stuff is so cool. And it was February 12th, 2000. Why do I know this? Because he's like, hey, guess what? There's an anime convention this weekend, and today's Saturday. It's like, we'll go on Sunday. It's the last day. I was like, all right, cool. So we went, got a Sunday pass. It was like, wow, people do these conventions. This is amazing, mind-blowing to me. I walk into this random dark room, sit down, and on the screen are anime music videos. And I'm like, these are the coolest things I've ever seen. I wonder if anybody has done Nabiki from Ranma 1/2 to Material Girl by Madonna. I wonder how I could find this out. So I go on the internet, and back in the day, you were required to hear the internet's national anthem before you got onto the internet. It sounded like, and so after you heard the national anthem, you could go onto the internet, and I found this AMV mailing distribution list. And so if you're familiar with the forum, this is before that, where you had a distribution list, which is kind of like a forum, but every time somebody replied, it was emailed to you, like every single topic. And so you woke up in the morning, you downloaded all the stuff from that night, and then you kind of like filtered it and read it. So I was like, I can't really like ask a mailing list, hey, has anybody done this? Because they'll say, oh, that's a great idea. I'll be able to finish this video before you can even figure out how to capture footage. Ha ha ha. So I was like, what should I do? I should get a job. So I got a job. And the interview was like, hey, here we need you to use this language, PHP, to connect to this database using MySQL, and like pull up this information and show it on this web page. And they were like, I was like, cool. How do I do that? It's like, we've got some books. You can use books. I was like, okay, yeah. So for those of you who don't know what books are, they look like this. This is the MySQL book and the PHP book that I had. So these are dead trees that you had to flip through, and if you wanted to find something, there's no Control F. You go to the very back. You pick a word that you think might be there, and you go to that page. So that was my interview, and they said at the end of the day, I did it, and they're like, all right, you're hired. Cool. So now I need to learn how to use this stuff, because, like I said, I'd never heard of it before that day. And so I'm like, what do I do? I should probably make a practice website. Okay, what can I do that is like, PHP-ish, MySQL-ish, and web-ish that I could do? I'll make a database that catalogs anime music videos, just for the heck of it, just for myself, because I just need some practice. And so I do that. And how can I incorporate other software, like the forum? And I was like, back in the day, like I was one of the first, since I lived in DC, they had these new things called cable modems, which you could hook up and didn't play the national anthem of the internet, but it stayed on all the time. I was like, all right, I could hook up another machine next to me, figure out how domain names work and how DNS works, and make a website. And there it was. It was just like sitting in my living room. And so I didn't tell anybody about it. So I'm like, I'm just doing this, and that's it. So I went from February until somebody on the mailing list hey, is there a database for this? And I was like, hi, I made a database for it. It's called animemusicvideos.org. Come by maybe? And I was expecting them to say, like, oh, yeah, no, dude. There's like a whole nother website dedicated to this that you've been missing this whole time. Don't you know how to use like a search engine, like Webcrawler or Ask Jeeves? Or there's this new one that's really cool called Alta Vista. You should use that one. I was like, no, dude, stop using like Archie and Gopher. Those are gone, Usenet, alt binaries. How many people got that joke? That guy. He's been on alt binaries too far, too long there. All right, so December 4th, 2000. I say this, and Waldo shows up. And then somebody else shows up. The second one, it's actually Doki Doki. He was the second guy. And then it just goes and just keeps going. And it's literally just a machine in my living room connected to my cable modem, and I'm pretty sure that I'm the reason that they turned off the symmetric bandwidth and, like throttled uploads, because that took like a couple weeks and everybody's showing up. And then, 2 months later, February 2001, I entered my anime music video, Material Girl, to 2 Cats of Con 7. And the site continues to grow. Chapter 4, org keeps growing. All right, so shortly after I launched, this guy named Patrick Brunet contacted me and said, hey, man, I've been working on an AMV database too for a while, but I like yours better, so I'm going to help you out. I'm like, okay, cool, man. And so we do. We discuss like the philosophy of AMVs, and what should the org be, and what should it represent. What is an AMV? What is anime? And so we come up, and like we're constantly talking to each other, like on the phone, like, hey man, how's it going? Okay, blah blah blah. We're just talking about this stuff. And so we come up with a goal to like catalog all the AMVs that there were and create a link to, if there's a link to them somewhere, because back in the day, if you had a video for download, it's probably because you worked at a university and you hooked up on server, some back room, and you're hoping nobody else finds out about it, because if you paid for the hosting, that was unbelievably expensive back in the day. So like I said, he and I just constantly talked about it. And debated and what features should be there, what should not be there, that kind of thing, and sort of in a very real way. Patrick's kind of the co-founder of the org, because he didn't want to say that he was. It's just that he wanted to help, but because without him, the site wouldn't have become what it was at the time. So on top of the catalog, there's a forum that eventually replaces the mailing list, and then the community just continues to grow. All right, Chapter 5, hosting. So the year is now 2002. The site has, excuse me, the site server has been stashed in the back room of where I work. And they're like, you're cool, you can work here. This is like your fringe benefit, so we don't have to pay as much. Fine, whatever. And so at the time, 2002, YouTube did not exist. It didn't exist until 2005, and it didn't become a Google property until 2006. Like I said, back in the day, any hosting was like some university FTP server, or you spent a lot of money yourself to host like 2 videos, and that was it. And so if you wanted to actually distribute your AMV, you had to use physical media. Like this. This, to all you young kids, is a VHS tape where you had to like record it onto a spinny media right there and like, hand it to somebody.
I still have the DDR Project 1 on VHS.
Oh, you're going to be surprised what's in this box. Mm-hmm. So, if you wanted to enter a contest, what did you have to do? You had to put it in a thing like this and mail it to the contest. This is an actual entry for AWA 10. So they were really snazzy and put it in their own box. And it's there like that. This was actually sent to Patrick for AWA 10 contest. This one is for Otakon 2003. So I'm going to actually leave these here so that eventually at the end you guys can come and take a look at them. Please don't steal these. Thank you. And so But if you were like, you yourself, if you were an AMV creator, you would come to a con and you would come prepared, either with a backpack full of VHS tapes, or if you were super snazzy because they just came out, a disc. Ooh, is this a Blu-ray disc? No. Is this a DVD? No. This is a CDR. You would have a CDR that you would hand out. It held what was it, 800 megs? Usually it says, and you would hand it to people. You just go up to AMV creators would get together and we would just swap. This one says Aluminum Studios. So that was his entire collection at the time. This one is Kusiyaro Productions. That was his entire collection at the time. And this one just says Doki on it. He was lazy and didn't do Doki Doki. So that was it. Let's see here. Yeah, disc entry. Oh, yeah. So these are also disc entries. AWA 2003. And what is this one? Otakon 2004. From various people that I just happen to have. So, this was the thing back in the day. And so if you wanted to distribute digitally, like I said, really hard. So we're like, all right, guys, I've been doing this site for a little bit. I'm just a random stream of text on the internet. But Patrick and I have been thinking about it. And if we pooled our resources, I live in D.C. where the internet converges. It's not that relatively expensive to go out and get a little bit of space and get our own servers and stick them in there. And you got the book. Has anybody missed the book? Anybody need to see the book? Where's the other one? There were two. Okay, just don't steal it. Thanks. And so. We come up with the idea of what we called the Golden Donut. This was dedicated hosting in 2002, June 2002. We're like, hey guys, here's what we're going to do. Send me some money, and I promise to get some hosting, make a server, put it somewhere, and we'll do this. Okay, and so what we ended up doing is we got what's called a quarter cabinet. If anybody knows what a cabinet is, it's about this wide. Yep. And I got a quarter cabinet. And a 20 megabit connection, which was unbelievably fast at the time. And we're like, how are we going to get people to donate? We're going to give people incentives, and that was the dangling carrot. Ooh, look at this golden dangling carrot. Here's what we're going to do. And so it was incentives and download speeds and extra search options and things like that. And so we came up with the plan, where are we going to do, what hardware we're going to have, how are we going to put it together, who's going to install it, that kind of thing. And so in January of 2003, we're like, all right, guys, we're gonna do this. Let me know. And our goal at the time in 2003 was $4,000 a month. So it's the hosting was gonna be a little less than that, and we have to have a little more for the hardware. Spread that over. Which, if you adjust that for inflation for today, that's $6,500. Random dude on the internet says, "Hey, send me some cash, and I promise to do this." January 2003, we're like, "Hey, donate." That month, end of January 2003. Of our $4,000 goal, we reached $6,300. That's about $10,000 in today's adjusted for inflation time. So, what does this donation stream look like? So how many people remember a checkbook? Okay, so for the people who didn't raise their hand, it's not Facebook with check marks. If you wanted to pay somebody for something, you had to write it down on a piece of paper, physically write it down with your hand on a piece of paper, some instructions for your bank to give whoever's holding this piece of paper money out of your bank account. This is a checkbook. So somehow these pieces of paper had to get to me. And so I was like, here's my address, send them. So what does that look like? It looks like this. This entire box says enemymusicvideos.org and my address on it. from people all over the country, all over the world. And if you hand wrote one, I kept the envelope because I'm just like a sentimental dude. And so these are all actual real envelopes that people sent in. This one's from Huntersville, North Carolina. This one's from Huntersville. Oh, no, that's my address. This one's from California, Colorado Springs, Glenburg, Maryland, St. Charles, Missouri, Clemson, South Carolina, Dayton, New Jersey. So, hey, guess what? It's next on the list. So, interesting donations. What are some interesting donations that I received? I received this one. Looks like this. This person pledged $1.50 and sent me $1.50 in quarters. I couldn't cash that. I had to keep that one. These two right here. The top one is from South Africa, and the bottom one's from Japan. So, please don't. Yeah. Somebody had to mail that from there. All right, so that's for us from around the world. I for a short time, for like 1 month, I did like an envelope art contest, and people drew on the envelopes. So it was like not boring, and so they got those. And you guys can. Oh no! You guys can look. You guys can look at them in a minute. I knew that was going to happen. All right, so I got those. And I think one fell on the floor. Did one fall on the floor? All right, I'm missing one.
I think it's slid on top of the other one.
All right, I got it. All part of the show. All right, I'll fix that in a minute. Oh, so then the most interesting one that I got was from Croatia. This dude was like, hey, man, how's it going? We're like on AOL Instant Messenger. You guys remember that? Yeah. So he's like, hey, man, do you like chocolate? I was like, well, yeah, kind of like chocolate. How about like chocolate-covered cherries? I was like, ooh, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, cool. And so he sends me a box of chocolate-covered cherries. Not just regular chocolate-covered cherries, vodka-filled chocolate-covered cherries. And I tried to take the string off again, but it started tearing. So you just have to trust me, there's a box from Croatia. But it says on the front, Croatia. And so it's chocolate-covered cherries in this box. So that was the most interesting one that I got. Because in Croatia, he couldn't really send me a check or anything like that. He slid a $100 bill in like 2004 into a box of chocolate-covered cherries and sent it to me. I was like, dude. Wow. And they were really good. He's like, no, he's like, you're not going to get drunk off of them. Trust me, I've tried. It does not end well. All right, so that was January 2003. February 2003, the site goes live. I buy all the parts, I put it together, I sign the contracts for all the hosting, and the site goes. So it's February 2003. July 2003, the server fills up. People are uploading stuff, and I'm like, it's all one box. And I'm like, all right, guys, we have to get like a separate just storage box. So we have the web server side, and then we have the storage side. And so in July 2003, we get a second one. We called that one Nago. And we get a dedicated storage server. February 2005, that one fills up. We get another one, even bigger, called that one Caro. And that one lasted until 2015, where we replaced all of it with one giant machine, and it's called Fuji. And so Fuji, I was in D.C., and I now live in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we had to move stuff, and Fuji sits in my living room because I happen to get fiber to my house. And so we have a nice gigabit Ethernet connection to my house, symmetric, and it sits in the living room. And my wife's like, I better not hear that thing. It better not make a peep. So it's got giant Noctua fans on it and like a really quiet case, and it sits there. The pros is that it's symmetric gigabit business class. It's dirt cheap compared to the $4,000 a month that we were doing. Cons, sometimes the power goes out in my house, and so if the site is out and you contact Eric and he's like, I don't know what to do, it's the power went out. That goes out like once a year. I've got giant battery backups and they'll last for like an hour, but if the power's out for more than an hour, sorry. So that's how it is. So, Chapter 6, what's going on now? Or what I also call the garbage will do. So, right now, the site is essentially the Millennium Falcon. You know, it's constantly falling apart, but it's still able to make the jump to hyperspace. And in fact, back in February, I had to buy replacement of the spinny hard drives that we have. There's 6 of them, all in a nice array. And because one that was like going died, and so I've got it. So this hard drive with a nice black X on it. This drive handed out music videos for the last 9 years. It was essentially on all that entire time. Its born on date was September 21st, 2014, and I installed it August 2015, and it's run that whole time. This is an actual drive from the actual array. So you guys can look at that. So we've got like Chewy and Ray and R2 back over here, you know, like banging and welding and trying to keep things from falling apart. So am I Han Solo, Captain of the Millennium Falcon? No. I'm Luke Skywalker on some Scottish island doing my, you know, rounds of blue milk harvesting. You know, Eric, who's over there, he's Han Solo / Rey, trying to, you know, give me my lightsaber back, and I'm like, yeet, you know, no thanks. Oh, it's quite tasty. All right, so actually, I'm not even here. This is just a force projection. Woo. So wait, no, those are all references to the wrong universe. Anime Man, we're in an anime convention. So, that's what I've brought. And so in a second, I'll have some questions. And while I'm taking questions, if you want to, like, how much time do we have? All right, we got like a few minutes. If you guys want to like have a line form over there, and then like one at a time come over and look at stuff. I'm going to arrange it real quick. And we got the booklet. The booklet's back there. So if you wanted to see the original of that, I have it right here. Yay! All right, so questions. Yes.
What was your favorite video?
Like when?
How it started it all.
Okay, good question. All right, so when I went to see CatsaCon, there was one video that stuck out of my mind, and it was Dwayne Johnson's I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. He was there. He actually lived in D.C., and I had a couple of the D.C. creators come over. QCR was there. Dwayne Johnson was there. He came in and was like, "Oh, hey, guess what? I see you got a Super VHS VCR. Let's look at the Otakon tape. Let's make sure that it works." So I got to watch the whole Otakon tape that way. So yeah, that one was basically the one that started it off. Other questions? Yes.
Before sort of like the internet being as centralized as it is now, how did you guys sort of, I guess, fight against losing AMVs or letting AMVs become lost?
That was actually one of the goals of the site, is because we knew that they were getting lost. Like I said, Dwayne Johnson, he's a member of the site, and if you pull up his profile, he was like, "Hey, I'm Dwayne Johnson. I've done these. I've made about 20 of them." And if you look at his profile, there's like 4. And so the other 16 are kind of lost. And actually, he didn't even make an entry for Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. And so that was actually one of the goals of the site, was to collect that as much as we could, because, you know, everybody knows, you know, Kevin Caldwell, you know, he was there and then he disappeared, and that was it. So that's one of the goals of the site, is to actually do that. Other questions? Yes.
So you said Dwayne Johnson's a member of the site?
Yeah. He was one of the originals.
Are there any other famous people you mentioned like, hey, I love your site, or I?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, let's see. Let me scroll up. So, it was. I'm trying to figure out the year because I wrote it down. It's not there. I do it. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Like I said, I went to Anime Detour in Minneapolis. And so I was one of the guests. And so, the day before, like, all the other guests show up. And we just kind of, like, hang out in the lobby and say, hey, I'm a guest. Hey, nice to meet you, whoever it is. And so one year they had a non-anime guest. It was Paul Cornell. He's one of the writers of Doctor Who. And so I'm like, ooh, Doctor Who fan. And, we're all just, like, standing around. He's like, oh, Paul Cornell's coming in. Okay, we'll just like stand and like meet him. And so we're all in like a semicircle, and he's like, "Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." Comes to me, and I'm like, "Oh, hi, great to meet you. I'm Chris McCormick. I'm Fade. I do anime music videos." And he goes, "Really?" Not the question, not the answer, the reaction I was getting. He's like, "Really? My wife's a big fan of your site. You're the reason why I came here." Really? Holy crap. So here it is, one of the writers of Doctor Who, saying that, A, he's known of me, and that he and his wife, like, your site's awesome. Come on down. So, yeah, that was ridiculously crazy to me. Also, Tony Oliver. Anybody know who Tony Oliver is? He's a voice actor. He was the voice of Rick Hunter in Robotech. So it's like, I'm like a kid. He's like the main character. And so he came over, and I was like, hey, man, how's it going? And he's like, hey. And he turned out to be like one of the coolest guys. And so I'm like trying not to fanboy out as much as possible, trying to be cool. And now he came back the next year and the following year. And every time I see him, it's like, oh, hey, man, how's it going? And so I get to hang out with Rick Hunter, and he knows who I am. And so those the two really cool things that has happened. Yes.
You cease and desisted. Have you been cease and desisted? I need more record labels.
Nobody talks about. All right, so I'll tell that story. I forgot what year it was. I should have looked it up. But I get an email that says, "Hey, looks like you're allowing some of our music production guys to you have that music available on your site. Please contact us. Here's a number." And I'm like, oh yeah, somebody's pranking me. Let me look. All right, this seems to be like a legit firm. Yep, this person actually works there. I don't know. Did somebody really go out of their way to prank me? So there's a number. The number's legit. I'll call them. So I call them up. And I'm like, hey, my name's Chris McCormick. I got an email about something. It's like, oh yeah, what was that about? My name's Chris McCormick, and I got an email. I'm not going to tell you anything that it's about, but can I talk to so-and-so? He's like, oh yeah, we'll so-and-so. So I talked to so-and-so. It's like, hey, who's it? So-and-so. Oh yeah, Chris McCormick. It's like, oh, you got the website? I'm like, yeah, kinda. What can I do for you? You got Evanescence songs on there? Maybe. If I did, what would you like me to do? Well, if you do, just take them down. That'll be cool. It's like, all right, I could probably do that. Any other bands I should be concerned about? Seether, Creed? Okay, yeah, I could do those too. Anything else? No, that's good. All right, cool. Thanks. Bye. Click. And then I lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling, waiting for my heart rate to come down for the next hour and a half. So yeah, that's how that conversation went. And then a couple weeks later, I'd say 4 weeks later, 4 to 6 weeks later, this other dude contacts me. He's like, hey, I'm a representative of this guy called Lawrence Lessig, and he wants to talk to you. I'm like, who is this guy? So I look him up. Anybody know who Lawrence Lessig is? No. Okay. I didn't either. I looked him up. He too He's an attorney. I'm like, okay, what does he do? Turns out he is actually an attorney and a professor at I forget which Ivy League college, and he would plead cases in front of the Supreme Court as the defendant. He was there to defend free speech and fair use. And so it turns out he wanted to talk to me. I'm like, how did this guy get my number? It turns out one of his students was there, and they were talking about, what's an example of fair use, and one of them had mentioned me and my site and what had happened, and he's like, I want to talk to that guy. And so talked to his secretary, made an arrangement, and got to talk to Dr. Lawrence Lessig for an hour about it. He's like, tell me what happened. Told him the whole story. And he's like, that's very interesting. Sounds like you're a good candidate for fair use and what you guys do. If it happens again, give me a call. Here's my number. Like, cool. Thanks, man. And I've never had to use that number since. Now that I've mentioned it out loud, I'm going to get home and there's going to be a dude handing me a blue envelope. But no. So that was it. And I think since then, at the time, like YouTube was coming out and like everything's being taken down and Napster and blah, blah, blah. I think everything's kind of shaken out enough. So like, I'm not making money doing this. I'm just like a dude with a server in his living room. And we're just trying to be cool. So, yeah. So actually, I used to answer the question, has anybody saw an AMV and like discovered new music because of AMVs? Has anybody watched an AMV and discovered new anime because of AMVs? All those hands, that's the only reason that I'm still like breathing. All right. So good question. Other questions? Yes.
Is there a point in the whole process where you kind of had to sit back and realize, oh, this is becoming a real thing?
Like when people showed up and started like filling out like membership forms, and I was like, all right, well now I've got to like make sure this machine stays up because people are depending on it, and it just slowly grew, and it was like the frog being boiled. Yeah, that's how it's been ever since. It's like, all right, we've done this. All right, let's add one more thing. We've done this. All right, we've hit 1,000 members. We've hit 5,000 members. We've hit 10,000 members. And that's how it gone. But it's never really been like, oh my gosh, I'm like suddenly over my head. It's more like, all right, the water level is here, and now the water level is here, and it's been like that. So yeah, but good question. Other questions? Yes.
Did you ever get burned out or like you were blacked out with it?
What was that?
Did you ever get burned out?
In a way, yeah, because I'm like on the site, like answering people questions and doing things like that. And then, much like a lot of other people, kind of life happens, and mine was like, I now have a spouse, and we have procreated, and now I cannot sleep because this thing will not stop crying for 2 hours in a row. And so that kind of took up a lot of time, and then and I just kind of like, I'd built the site in a way so that as much as possible, it could be as self-sustaining as possible. I'm not the only admin. There's people that are adminning. I'm not the only developer. There's other people developing. And so much like this one, it's not like I was like, God, crap, I got to leave and like we have to do something about it. It's more like, I've set things up so that everything can kind of run on its own. And now I'm just going to be like, hey, guys, if you have any questions, ask this other guy, and everything will be okay. And so that's just kind of how it was. And then I went to my Scottish island, and I've been doing the blue milk thing. But yeah, good question. Yes?
Throughout the years, as you're watching AMVs grow and develop, are there any items or needs, let's say, that make you go, why is this a thing?
Oh, yeah. I've had to look up because, all right, so there's like the star rating system, and some will be like really highly rated, and I'm like, I have no idea why. Because again, sort of like so I made my first AMV, and that was actually with VHS source. So I had to like put the tape in and have a capture card and do like that. And the second one was like with DVD. So I've only made 2 in my entire life. And so then I was like, well, I could either make the site better or I could make more AMVs. Site better wins. And so I was going somewhere with that. What was the question again?
Anything you saw that made you go, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So in addition to like not really making any AMVs, I kind of didn't have any time to like watch anime. So here's my deep dark secret. I don't know like hardly any anime characters themselves. I have like, oh, that's the long-legged liquid crystal girls. I don't even know what that one is. And so I'll be like, oh, it's the one with like the pink hair and the things on the side. I have no idea what your character name is. I know there's a gazillion AMVs with that character. And so, yeah, so a lot of things, there's the star rating. I'm like, why is this highly rated? And then it's like all within like the anime itself. And so I'll look at AMVs and I'll have to judge them based on, how does it convey to somebody who's never seen it? Somebody who's like likes music and likes anime, but has never seen that anime, does it really impact them? So I'll do most of those, and then every once in a while I'll be like, all right, trust the star rating, put this one in the thing, and then people go bananas for it, and I have to like figure out what's going on. So yes, I know a lot of these characters by their AMVs. I have no idea what show it is. Yes.
This may be a weird question, but is there a worse AMV? Like, really? Like.
Yes. There are lots. Lots and lots of terrible AMVs. So, like I said, I do Anime Detour. They're actually the first anime convention that invited me over as a guest, and it was actually their first ever convention. They're like, "Hey, you want to show up?" I was like, "Sure." And so the first ones, I would just like live stream VJing. So I would just show up in a room, plug in, and start playing, and people would just show up and it would go. And so later years, I'm like, all right, I have to like be prepared. So I'm gonna have to like pre-watch a bunch of stuff. And so now I get it so that I pre-watch every AMV from the previous year, and I sort them like best to worst by the star rating. And they're like, great, 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 pretty good, great, pretty good, pretty good, not so great, not so great. Oh my God, please kill me. Why? And so yes, I get to watch a lot of terrible AMVs. The ones in the middle. I don't know why Yu-Gi-Oh creators just sorry. There's you would think Dragon Ball Z would be it. No. Yu-Gi-Oh creators are just the laziest. Sorry.
I want an example someday.
If you want to be tortured, I will be next panel.
2-hour compilation.
Oh no, we'll just show up and I'll just be like, what have you done? Yes.
Two questions. One, since you mentioned you have a kid, do you watch AMVs with your kid or just
Yes.
okay. And two, to you, what is a bad AMV?
Okay, so the first part, I actually have two children. He's 19, David, and she's 17, Audrey. He's actually here, but he's not here, mainly because I came here and I was like, all right, who's showing up? And I want to see one panel, and it's the glitch panel. Guess what time it is? It's right now. That was the only panel I wanted to see, because he's actually at the glitch panel, and she could, and Audrey's like, Audrey, you want to come? I was like, no. She's right now a teenage girl, and they're doing teenage girl stuff. So any former teenage girls over here that have like advice for handling teenage girls, please let me know at the conclusion. See me after class. I need, yes, exactly. I'm just like, whatever comes, I'm like, just, zen is where I am. So yeah, but what was the second question?
What to you, what makes a bad AMV?
What makes a bad AMV and what makes a good AMV is I look at it and it just hits me in the feels. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of like terrible Dragon Ball Z videos out there. Every once in a while, there'll be an anime that I know that I hate and a song that I know that I hate. Somebody creates an AMV out of both of those things, and the negatives cancel each other out, and it's one of the greatest things in the world. How people do this, I don't know. What makes a bad AMV is like they don't anything like that. It's just like random stuff, and it's splotchy on there. To them, it may be cool, and they're like, oh, wow, I remember this scene. I haven't seen that scene. I don't know what's going on. You have to convey it visually. And if you can convey it visually and make the music improve that makes a good AMV. And that's like super simplistic, but that's kind of it. To me, it's if the AMV is very much about the character and you have to already know, to me personally, that's not going to resonate because I haven't seen either of them. So, but That's why I was like, sometimes the star rating, I'll put a high one in there, and everybody goes bananas. I'm like, I have no idea what they're doing, but everybody loves it. More questions? Yes.
Just an estimate. Who do you think is the most used artist and/or genre people are going to use?
Most used artist is Imagine Dragons. Yeah. That's the modern one. Linkin Park. There's a gazillion Linkin Ball Z videos out there. It just didn't stop for the longest time. After that, I don't even know that the artists themselves, because like the music, I just stopped looking. It's like, oh, that song again. It bet you got 3 more seconds. Nope, gone. And then it's like, Dragon Ball Z. There's a gazillion of them. Again, don't know why. Evangelion. There's a gazillion of those. And like I said, I have not had enough coffee. It wore off. Who Card Cap? Not Card Cap. The other one that I mentioned. That was terrible. Yu-Gi-Oh. I knew it was cards on Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, that was. I don't know why. There's the laziest people. Sorry. If you made a good one, please let me know. All right. Other questions? Yes.
I mean, it's probably a lot, but is there like a specific song and series mixture that people just keep trying that you see never work?
Ooh. There probably is, but I watched like 23 seconds of that AMV and then hit the next button. I couldn't name the anime, like I said, because I don't know them. And then I hear the song, which again, I don't know. If you guys want me to come back and say, like, show us the most terrible things you've seen, I'd be like, all right, horror film.
Channel where you're looking at these AMVs and then you're giving critique.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Inverse. Video pairing that has happened too many times. Video to solve.
Linkin Ball Z, that's too many of those.
Like the one video, the one song.
I don't know. I could look. See, when they're too many, I just try to block them out of my brain. I have too much things going on. So yeah, sorry, can't answer that one. Yes.
Okay, we're getting into kind of just bizarre question now. Here's like most obscure song for an AMV that you like.
Okay, I'm slowly being converted to a Swiftie. I hate all of you, but people keep making really good Taylor Swift videos that I enjoy. I'm sorry, to me. Yes.
Now that you're happily retired at your Scottish Island,
Yes.
ever get the itch to make another AMV?
I do. Because like I had like a whole bunch of ideas back in the day, and I've never made any of them. And then I see. Okay, so here's another thing that happens over the years. Every year, I'll put together my detour sets, and I look at them, and I'm like, wow, this is an amazing year. There's no way that anybody can. We've peaked. It's 2013. There's nothing else that could be better. And then every year it's better. And then every year it's better. And so now it's to the point where I'm like, unless there's like a retro category where you only do straight cuts, there's nothing I can do. I'm like, well, they'll just be good in my mind. But yeah, I'm not even going to say them out loud because somebody's going to capture footage and make the video before I can even get around to it. But yes, there are AMVs that I want to make just because. Yes.
What program did you use to edit that?
Oh yes, the first one. I did the song "Material Girl," and it was I bought a capture card, and so if you want to see more stuff Tell them to have me come back, and I'll bring other things, and I'll make like a mini museum. So the capture card that I got came with software, and the software gave you one timeline, and that was it, one layer, and it was like almost linear editing. And so I had to. It was like a Matrox software, and it was one line, and it wasn't frame accurate. So you could preview it, and it would look okay, but when you rendered it, it was different. And so I was trying to do lip syncing, and it was terrible. And so then I stumbled upon like an extended evaluation copy of the Adobe Suite, and I tried that out, and that worked out pretty well. So yeah, my first experience with digital editing was not a very good experience. Plus, scan lines. Does anybody know what scan lines are? Yeah, all you people that haven't raised your hand, you're lucky, because those are also quite annoying.
Or you're stuck with the old Hong Kong
Ooh, VCDs. It was like a DVD player could play it, but it was actually a CD. Yes. Who knows what a VCD is? Okay, you guys are cool. Other questions? Am I allergic to anything? Poison ivy, poison oak, that kind of thing. Bad AMVs, they break me out in snoozes. So how was the glitch panel? All you people getting back from the glitch panel, because that's where I wanted to be. You.
Do you have the password to Waldo's FTP?
What was that?
Do you have the password to Waldo's FTP?
Waldo's Magic Ink? Yes, I do. Does it work? No, it doesn't. Sorry.
Any system admin issues where you're like, thank God no one saw that?
Not on this site, but I was at work one day, and we had a new guy come in, and we basically what we did is we had the production database, and we were like, all right, make a copy of it, and then work your stuff. And so we did. And so every once in a while, you had to like refresh your local copy. And so he did drop tables on his, moved it over, and realized he did drop tables in production. And so yeah, the entire site went down at where I work, and luckily it happened at 11:58, and so we emailed everybody go to lunch right now and come back in an hour, and we had it back up. So yeah, on our site, not that bad, knock on wood, but the server is 9 years old. I have replacement hard drives for all of them, and a couple cold spares. There's a hot spare, there's the array, and I have enough cold spares to replace all the original drives, so hooray. And it's RAID 6, so 3 drives have to die simultaneously before anything, but we also have a backup copy off-site. Hooray. Other questions? Yes.
Okay. I don't know maybe you have this, but when I was going to work, something I really loved was the anime.
Yes! Bannerad contest.
I was just wondering what was the story behind the idea of starting a because I thought it was a really cool organization inside to get involved.
Yeah. So it was like a creative thing, and I hung out with other like web developers and graphic artists and things like that. They made the buttons look good. I made sure the button did what it's supposed to do when you press it. And so there was that. And we're like, how can we like have alternate revenue streams? And it was like, hey, Google Ads and stuff like that. So we had to have a space for it. But if you donated, I didn't want to have that up there. So you would go through and donate it. So now I have this space that has to have something in there. So we'll have like an org banner ad contest. So that was the origin of it, and it continues to go. People still make banner ads and put them up, and people still vote on them, and that's really cool. But that was actually the origin for the banner ad contest, is because I had to fill that space with something.
So that was your idea, or
no, that was kind of my idea, because like, where are we going to put the banner ads, and then what are we going to do when there's not one there? Just keep blank.
well, I really appreciate it.
Oh, good. Yeah. Because there's also like you said, graphic artists that are not really AMV editors that want to do something, and so yeah, I was like, cool. Other questions? Anybody there? Anybody there? Yes.
How many people are involved in running the light tower?
That would be an Eric question because he knows. I know Eric does stuff, and I know De Robert does the back end things, and I'm on my Scottish island. 2 people. That's it. If either of those people leave, we're all screwed. I just make sure the bills are paid and the lights stay on mostly, and that's it. Eric, yes. Like I said, he is Han Solo. Yes.
Not a question, but a final suggestion.
Okay.
For your candle next year,
Yes.
you should make a Lincoln Ball Z AMV that's actually good.
What? I don't think that's possible. No. Okay. All right. Are we at time? Yes, we are at time. All right. Like, last few seconds if you want to look at this stuff. Again, please don't steal it. And if you want me to come back next year with like a mini museum, I'll be glad to bring other things. Thank you very much.